but she said at the top of the call, she spends $150 a week on leads. If you want that, learn what she just shared. Get this video. This video will be going in my boot camp. It will go on our website. We will blast it everywhere, over and over. Christina, you are a treasure. You are so kind to share this much with us. And I can't wait to hear the stories that come out in the next weeks and months of how people are totally transforming their business with referrals. Thank you so much. This is the best referral call I've ever been on and one of the top 5 best training calls I've ever been on. All right, let's jump into the, are you ready? Are you ready? All right, we're gonna jump into the meat and potatoes now. This is gonna be a referral masterclass. China's got all the scripts ready to share. And please tell us how you want to do it, what your mindset is, what you lead in, how you get them at the end of the call, beginning of the call. What is the Christina Ande referral plan?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that, obviously depending on your script, everyone has a different script a little bit, but we're saying the same thing. So it's really, really important that when you're talking to your client, right, you're talking to them on the phone, you're getting to know them on a more personal level as you're asking those questions. So an acronym, and you'll see it when we, share the screen here in a second as well. An acronym that I always go by, and I like to make sure I have checked off as I'm going through the presentation, is F.O.R.M. So family, occupation, recreation, and then the M, I'll go slow because I call it my triple threat. It's me, money, medical. So family, I should know about their family if we're talking life insurance, even if they have a friend as a beneficiary, right? Which again, not necessarily the case, but they're going to have someone that you're identifying as that beneficiary and figuring out why that's that person, and expanding on their family. So if they have kids and if they have grandkids, especially running a lot of like aged vets and final expense leads in general, a lot of times these are people who are retired on disability, Social Security. They're a bit older. So making sure that I'm figuring out, do they have kids? Do they have grandkids? How old are they? Do they have grandkids over 18, under 18? What's the age range? And these are very small, like very quick, conversations I'm having, and I'm just jotting everything down. Everything the client says that relates to them, that's personal, I make sure I always write it down because you're going to use it later. Now, going into O, if they're retired, what did they do for work? Do they still see their buddies from work? If they're a veteran, you guys part of the same kind of groups? Do you see a lot of your buddies? Small little things that go a long way. Recreation, if they are retired, what are you doing for fun? Do you see your family on the weekends? Are you part of any, you play bingo, right? What is the thing that you like to do, and who are you doing it with? And then the last one, me, money, medical, you have to put yourself in a position that you're not being looked at like a salesperson, right? You have to relate to them on some sort of level. I always use the kind of example, like if I go to, let's say I'm at a birthday party and I have a friend and it's her party and she has a mutual friend and she connects us to, and we're talking. Well, what are we going to talk about? The thing that we have in common, right? We're going to talk about that common ground. So find common ground with the person, something you can relate to on a personal level that's going to click with them so that they know you at some level. Don't talk about yourself, right, too much, but find something that you can relate to them. When you're talking about medical, if they ever mention any like family that had a history of something, that's something I'm writing down, right? So if I say, oh, well, do you have, any history of diabetes? And they say, no, but my mom does. Well, that's going to be something I jot down, and you'll see how I bring it back up later. So medical and me, money, medical. Yeah, money, obviously you figure out their income, right? So that you're not over pitching. So the F.O.R.M acronym I find really helpful because you're going to be able to suggest people at the end. So I think the biggest thing that I'm doing is just during the presentation, I'm really using what we already ask. If you're closing down, and you're writing an application, they ask you for beneficiaries. I make the contingent a necessary. And why, right? First of all, we have to think on the human level, why are beneficiaries important in general? Well, when this person who we're protecting dies, that's going to pay out to XYZ person. But if that person is not there, let's make sure they have a backup and not make it optional because it's the easy thing to do.
Yeah.
So taking the extra step, and then obviously setting up your beneficiaries the right way. So once I'm collecting that information on the app, I make sure I write it down. I'll share with you guys too. I don't know if I sent this over yet, but you can find this on Amazon. It is a logbook. Sorry, mine's gross. I travel with it. I do everything. I have 5 million of these, but it's client referrals, $5 on Amazon. And it's literally the simplest thing ever. I literally track every single referral, phone numbers, relationship, and I highlight it when they've been seen and sold. So if you look at this page, you can see, obviously, right, they have a pretty good ratio. Write everything down, take notes, be observant, right? Don't just yes the client along. Make sure you're active listening, because it goes a long way. So I think from the point of where you're actually going over beneficiaries, the biggest thing with that is I make sure after they list those beneficiaries on the application, it's a quick thing. I say, okay, well, Grady, you have, your wife listed, of course, and then you have, your 2 kids there as beneficiaries, and your kids are grown, they're over 18, for example, let's just say. So what we definitely want to make sure is that your wife and your kids, that they know about your policy, exactly how that works if something were to happen to you. So I promise I'm going to do my best to go ahead and explain that to them, but also to make sure your wife and your kids, that they're taken care of as well. Does that make sense? Awesome. And it's a very simple thing that I'm saying just to make sure that they know that we're going to reach out, that we're going to go over that policy and what the importance is. And you give them the opportunity to ask questions at that point. So as you're finishing up your application, you go through all of, the final, you're solidifying, right? That sort of thing. At the very, very end, after I say, okay, I'm going to clear you out of the system, right? Here's all my information. No one else should be calling you. I'll call you in 2 weeks with your policy. At the very end, that's the point there where now I'm going to use, there's a thing with me in acronyms, you'll learn this, but it's called V.I.B.S. And I didn't come up with this. I wish I did, because it's genius.
You came up with, you did on this call. So going forward, this will be the...
Okay. Yes, but it is something that I've been able to transfer over. And so it's been awesome. But V.I.B.S is value, importance, brainstorm, and suggest. And B can also be beneficial. And so I'll kind of explain that. But at the very end, after I'm done solidifying, I'm going to say, okay, so, on a scale of 1 to 10, Grady, how did I do for you today? You're going to give me a rating, and that solidifies. Awesome. That's so great to hear. It was a great job taking care of your family today. Now, of all the information we went over, what do you think was most important about getting this, the life insurance in place for your family? And they're going to give me the solidification, right, of why that policy is important. And again, I write all of this down. So I'm making sure that if they ever call me later saying they don't need the coverage, well, I go to their contact and I say, well, you said you needed the coverage because X, Y, and Z. This was important to you, right? So you're helping yourself with that as well. And then I'm going to ask, okay, so obviously, I'm glad the being able to cover, get covered and you love the price and everything. I'm so happy that was important to your family. Now, obviously, like I promised, I'm going to make sure that we reach out to, your wife, your kids, like we mentioned, to make sure they know they're beneficiaries, go over that policy, make sure they're all taken care of as well with their own insurance. But outside of that, Grady, I know there's definitely some people in your life that would really benefit from what we went over today. So let's go ahead and start actually with your siblings. You said you're one of 3, right? So let's go ahead and start with your oldest. Your oldest was your brother. What was your brother's name again? And he may have never said his brother's name, but I'm going to lead with confidence and a smile over the phone. And when I lead with confidence and assuming, usually they're going to be, oh, okay, and they just kind of follow in the lead, right? You've already built the trust. They trusted you enough to get a policy with you, right? To give you pertinent information. So why would they not? And they gave me a 10 saying I did great. Why would they not want me to help their family? So you just have to use what you've already gathered through F.O.R.M. I want to go back through family, right? Occupation, recreation, me, money, medical. You mentioned earlier your mom, she had diabetes. I don't know if she's ever had trouble getting covered, but we could definitely take care of her, do our best at least to try to get her taken care of. Let's go ahead and definitely get your mom down. So any information I've collected, I'm going to utilize. And then the last thing is, after I'm doing that, I'm going to just keep suggesting. My rule of thumb, I like to have the family tree of 5. So if I don't have 5 people I can identify by the end where I get to V.I.B.S, then I have to realize, like, how much rapport did I really build to not be able to list 5 people. And it doesn't have to be names, right? It can just be general groups of people and, overall. So that rule of 5 is huge. And usually if you ask for 5, you'll get guaranteed 3, right? So what we teach agents is to get at least 2 to 3%. If you, for every policy you close, let's say that you sit with 20 people in a week and you get 3, well, that gives you 60 extra free leads.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And then the biggest thing is just kind of tying it up in a bow. Sorry, forgot that part. After you're collecting all of it, make sure you're setting it up the right way, right? And that's why we have the scripts to send out to you guys to make sure, because I think the biggest question I get, when we go over this kind of stuff is, oh, well, what if, they just don't want to, or what if they don't want to give out information, or, what if, the person doesn't realize what it's about. And how you kind of wrap it up in a bow is very crystal clear. So at the end, after I have everyone's name, I'm repeating it back and I'm stating exactly what we're going to do, right? So, okay, Grady, so we have this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. Now, what I need you to do is just go ahead and let them know, hey, Christina's going to be giving you a call. Really great information. Make sure you answer her. Make sure you hear her out. That's all I need you to do. Okay, can you do that for me? Awesome. Now on my end, like I said, I promise I'm going to do my best to make sure your whole family, your friends, that they're all taken care of as well. Okay. So just make sure you let them know I'm going to be reaching out tonight, anytime between 5 and 8, since most of your friends and family, they're working day shift. So we'll make sure, they're taken care of between like 5 and 8. I have a super busy schedule, so I can't guarantee. If I don't get to him today, I'll definitely get to him tomorrow. So can you let them know that I'll be calling? Perfect. So it's how you set it up. It's that you let them know, hey, we're going to call these people. We're going to get them taken care of as well. I'm going to do my best. I promise you. And that's kind of how I wrap up the referrals.
Drop an R, just an R, just as many R's as you possibly can in the chat below to show Christina some love for that referral training from F.O.R.M, Family, Occupation, Recreation, Me, Money, Medical, to V.I.B.S, Value, Importance, Brainstorm, Beneficial, and Suggest. If I don't have a family tree of 5 by the end, did I really build rapport? This was exceptional. And you're just brainstorming and pulling and pulling and pulling. Now, are you using it like ERS at all, like emergency response system? Like, I need to let them know you have a policy. Like, that's gonna be more a beneficiary type angle. And then like, I need to let them know you have a policy. So God forbid, if something happens to you, they can alert me. Is that an angle you kind of take sometimes with beneficiaries? And then with the friends, it's like, I'm just going to check on their policies. Like, if they ask more, why do you need those names?
Yeah, I think, and it's funny is like I like to always say, like, you want to proactively beat any rebuttal that you're going to get. So I explain that in the process. Hey, we have to make sure that we reach out to your beneficiary so they know about your policy, right? That if something happens, that they can actually claim this. So I'm explaining that while I'm collecting the beneficiary. If they ask why, bring in the stats. If you guys look on Google, you'll see over $1.7 billion of life insurance goes unclaimed every single year. Well, why do you think that happens? Because grandma got a policy. She didn't tell anyone about it. It's not in her safe. She didn't have a will. And now no one can find it. And not many people know that you can just go searching policies through a website or something. So people lose hope. They don't realize there's something in place and that money goes unclaimed. So the beneficiaries are really actually very thankful that they know about the policies, that they know how they work. So I think just setting it up that way. And when I speak to a beneficiary, we'll go into that script next. And if we want, we can share it, or I could just do it on the rep.
with both are, let's have you go on the rip, but then on the words, because people,
Yeah.
they learn you know,
Yeah, that's okay.
visually, auditorily. We're going to teach them all the ways we
Yeah,
can.
absolutely. And I
Television,
think
we're going to send them some Saratoga water too.
yeah. And so that's, very helpful. Yeah, perfect. So I think it's, and you'll see this hands-on really, when we're going through this. So when I'm calling that beneficiary, it's very clear what we're bringing up. So again, I'll just kind of read it and say how I say it. Let's say I'm calling John. Hey, John. Hey, John, it's Christina Ande. Yeah, I was actually reaching out regarding your brother, Joe. Did Joe let you know I was going to be calling? And you're either, Joe, he's either going to say yes or no. If he says no, I got to let it roll off my back. Oh my gosh, no problem. I know that Joe was actually super busy. He was running errands. He took the kids to basketball, right? So I probably just got to you before he did. No big deal. I was actually calling because I met with your brother yesterday. We got his life insurance set up for him and the family. And actually, he listed you as a beneficiary on his policy. God forbid something happens to him and his wife, Mary. Okay. So if something happens on both, you're actually the one taking care of this. He trusts you to handle everything if something happens. So I'm guessing you guys are pretty close, huh? And he's going to say yes and give me some background about their family. Okay. Well, I was reaching out. Oh, sorry. I'm reading and I'm used to just doing this. So now I'm just gonna build rapport, right? I'm basically gonna say, oh yeah, he told me, you're a firefighter. Are you working 24 on, 48 off? Or what is your schedule like? You have kids too, right? I'm gonna mention something personal that now he realizes, same thing I was saying before, those walls are going down. The more you know about the actual referral and the more you mention, now John is saying, oh, well, Joe wouldn't tell her this if he didn't trust her. Joe wouldn't be telling her my personal life. So those walls start going down. So I'm going to build a little bit of rapport, not too much to where it's taken forever, right? This is very quick. Now, since you're beneficiary there, John, I promised Joe that we would actually go over, their policies that they have with you so that you know exactly how that works if something were to happen. Now, in addition, at the end, he was able to sponsor a few friends and family, just to get access to the life insurance information as well. And he thought he right away. So I promised we'd go over this with you. Okay. So make sure, you give Joe a huge thank you for thinking of you. All right. Now, this doesn't take very long, 2-3 minutes just to go over his policy, and then we'll get you taken care of as well. Go ahead and just grab a pen and paper and we'll get this knocked out real quick. And then you can use whatever script you really want after this. But I basically just go over a few things on the policy first. So I'm going to say, okay, so go ahead and write down, the name of the company. And then also go ahead and write down, the policy number. And I'm going to build up the policy he got. So, it looks like your brother, he did a great job. He actually got an index universal life policy in place. Are you familiar with those? Oh, wow. Let me tell you, it kills 3 birds, 1 stone, right? So he has not only some living benefits that'll pay out, God forbid he's ever sick. So like heart attack, stroke, cancer, that'll pay out to the family and help with those bills if he ever needed it. It actually builds, cash value with the S&P 500 on gains, not losses, which is huge. And then also, obviously, that death benefit, that's why we're talking today. That's what pays out to you if something happens to him and the wife. So really great job. And that's why he wanted me to go over this with you. He actually thought you'd really benefit as well. Okay, so that's the kind of policy he has. And he has X amount of coverage, right? Write all that down. Do you have that? Okay, awesome. Any questions on your brother's policy or how that works? No. Well, like I said, if anything happens, you call me first. You call me and I'm here to help you. You guys, your family, you're stuck with me for life as your family's life insurance agent. Okay. Now, he had mentioned, he didn't really know what you have going on. Most families I work with have 2-3 life insurance policies already in place. I'm assuming you guys have something going on, or what do you have currently? And then they're going to tell me, right? Oh, well, I just have something.
Work. Yeah.
Yeah, through work. Okay. Yeah. And that's, you know what? That's what most families actually tell me there, John, right? Is they have something through work. We don't really count that because when we stop working, right, that's usually not in place. So nothing outside of that for your family. Okay. Well, hey, like I said here, my job's a little different than like a typical sales rep. I actually work with the state's A and A plus rated insurance companies. I'm going to run through some quick underwriting questions for you and we'll get you taken care of as well. Does that make sense? And then boom, qualifying questions, pitch options, close.
I mean, just exceptional. There's so much assumptive close in there that you're just, it's done before. If he answers the phone, it's game over. Unless he's a life insurance agent himself, the likelihood of you not selling John insurance is zero. So amazing, amazing. And then you're going through the same process, go through F.O.R.M, go through V.I.B.S, get more the family tree of 5, and then pick 2 to 3 referrals from him, and the chain continues to roll on. Okay, so what's the next one we've got pulled up? This one is, what's the top say, China?
So this one we kind of went over already, but that will give you guys all the kind of what I was saying before. So we'll send that out to you. The referral call script, it's the same exact thing, but if how you would apply this to a regular referral, like an insurance referral, who's not necessarily like who's not a beneficiary, right? So we're not calling to explain that policy. We're just going to go straight into the part about how they were, sponsored in to get access to the same kind of coverage. We'll see if we could put them in a good spot. Same exact thing. I won't read back through the script because it is the same thing, but the rolling referral script, that's huge. At the end, when you've collected, so when you've actually collected your referrals and you're still talking to the original client, if you ever find yourself having trouble, getting a hold of referrals, I always suggest, or if you're new to referrals, I always suggest rolling. Really, rolling is great for everyone, whether you're seasoned or not. But rolling referrals is right at the end after you've collected the actual referrals, getting them to kind of itemize who's most important to get a hold of and having them call them themselves with you on the phone and setting that appointment. Because they're going to be a lot more likely to answer the phone from a number they do know from their sister, mom, aunt, uncle, whoever, rather than me, 732 Jersey girl, right? That they have no idea who I am and why the hell I'm calling. So starting at the top, just kind of going through the script here. At the end, after, same thing as when I said before, right? So, okay, so we have this person, this person, this person, this person. Out of all these people, who would you say is like the hardest to reach, or who has like the busiest schedule? It's your sister. Okay, you did say she has 4 kids. I know being a mom, that should be crazy. So I understand that. Now, can you do me a huge favor? And what do you think they're going to say? No, they're going to say yes, right? Yeah, they're just going to lead with it. Well, what I need you to do is let's just give your sister a call. We'll just 3-way her in really quick. Because here's the thing. I know you're super busy. Your sister is super busy. She's a lot more likely to answer a call from a number, from you than a number she doesn't know, right? So let's just give her a call. Even if she doesn't answer, we'll leave her a quick voicemail together so she knows I'm a real person giving her a call. So just go ahead, add her into the call. Let her know I'm on the phone and I'll take over. And then I have it broken down if they answer or don't. And then if they're a beneficiary or a regular referral. The biggest thing is when you're rolling, you don't want to really go into the pitch necessarily right there with them on the phone the whole time. So since they're 3-weighing in, I try to just, kind of wrap it up after and say, okay, listen. So, and I'll go through the conversation, but let's just say it's Sister Sally. Hey, Sally, my name's Christina Ande. How are ya? Awesome. So glad to hear. Well, I'm actually just spending the last, couple minutes here with your sister, Susie. And I have to say, you're super lucky to have her as a sister. She's amazing. We just had a great time getting her policy set up. We were actually, just meeting to get her permanent life insurance set up. And she had actually listed you as a beneficiary on her life insurance policy. Susie did a great job protecting her family, and she trusts you enough to handle everything. God forbid something were to happen. So since you're a beneficiary, I did just promise Susie that we would go over her policy with you so you know exactly how that works if something were to happen. Now, I don't want to keep your sister waiting on the phone as we go over this. So tell you what, I can give you a call back here from my personal number in about 5 minutes so I can wrap up with Susie. Only takes about like 15 minutes to go through. Just grab a pen and paper and I'll be right with you. Does that sound good? And they're either going to say yes or that they're busy and they can't, and you're going to set the appointment. And same thing for regular referral, right? So if they list the person who's busiest as just one of their insurance referrals, you just use the script at the bottom.
It's exceptional. How often will they call for you?
Sorry, one more time.
How often will this rolling referral, will they call for you? Is it just
it's probably, I would say it's pretty 50-50, right? Some people, it depends. Like, it depends how long you've been on the phone with someone. Yeah. And I think the other thing too is like, and I hate to say this because I don't like to ever seem like, oh, I've got it figured out. But a lot of times, like, I don't really have to, right? Like I have enough confidence and I build enough control with the person to they're texting them right away. And that person knows I'm calling. So I don't always do this. I should do it every single time, right? It's like the same way we know we should collect referrals and we don't always do it. But I'd say it's about 50-50. They're either going to do it or they won't. But, getting someone right into an immediate appointment after is awesome.
So there'd be like 5 levels: not getting referrals, getting some referrals, getting them to text the referrals, and then getting them to call with the referrals. Maybe that was 4 levels, whatever that was. But that's kind of, if you just get the referrals, get them to text, get to call. But that's kind of like, if Sally's calling her sister and you need to work with this girl, I just put you as a benefit. This is the work, right? This is a little bit extra work, but like, is that call worth what would you pay for a guaranteed appointment? $100, $200? Is that extra 12 minutes at the back end of solidifying the sale, building the rapport, increasing your persistency, hooking into another family member, showing your client how professional you are? This is how we increase credibility and reduce sales pressure. So, oh my gosh, Christina, this was just exceptional. So, final tips, final thoughts. Are we click off the share. We'll get this out. I'll check this out in some group chats. China will email out on my email list. We'll drop it in our Slack and FFL America workspace and reach out to who invited you. But please give us some, final thoughts you've got. You're going to build an empire here. That was, what you're doing, which is,
thank you.
But which has come through years. Like, well, how is she so good? Well, she suffered for 3 years somewhere else. And then she came here, and then now she takes all the skills she had to develop, not being able to buy brand new leads, to create this. And now she can do both. And that's, would she go back 4 years and start at zero, or would she be where she is now? There's the eternal question, right? It's like the fountain of youth, right? Do I drink it and go back to if I do then what I knew now, continue.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like my biggest advice, especially to all agents, but especially new agents, is make this something that's non-negotiable. Yeah, maybe it's uncomfortable at first, but like anything, when you're getting new at something, when you're trying something new, with practice comes, I don't want to say perfection. We're always growing. We're always learning. But through practice, you're going to feel that confidence overcome you. And honestly, that's why I only run age leads, because most of this can be so easy. And I still do like a little of the challenge of calling an age lead, right? So the referrals are so simple. And when you start doing it, it's a no-brainer. I think the biggest thing is getting over that mental objection, the internal objection. A lot of times people ask, well, what if the beneficiary gets upset? They're going to get upset that they have money coming to them? What do you mean, right? So it's the internal objections that we tell ourselves that we're selling ourselves out of free leads, instead of optimizing what's in front of you and looking at the final result. So if, I think just making it a non-negotiable, like my number is usually like, I aim for 5, I get 3. Right. And that's just what it is. You're always going to get half. And my number used to be much higher. My number was 10. And again, I'm trying to build that back. Like last week I had one guy, I got 8 referrals. Right. So it's just never sell yourself short. Keep pushing through the, uncomfortable, feeling of asking for something. It's going to be easier when you lead with confidence and a smile. It sounds so cheesy, but I promise you, if you're just assumptive with it, they're a lot more likely to go with it. It's the same thing as closing a deal. So keep at it. If it doesn't work the first time, keep doing it. Referrals work. You just need to work the system.
Amen. Thank you. Guys, as you, this is just some self observation. At the peak of this call, we had 270 people on it. Then people started hearing, oh, I got to say all these words. I got to say all these words. And now we've got about 190 on. I bet those 80 people still want to make $30,000, $40,000 a month. The problem is they don't want to put in the work. And so if you can just be here, the ones that are still here, I'm so proud of you for going, I'm going to learn this. I want change. I want something better. But she said at the top of the call, she spends $150 a week on leads. If you want that, learn what she just shared. Get this video. This video will be going in my boot camp. It will go on our website. We will blast it everywhere, over and over. Christina, you are a treasure. You are so kind to share this much with us. And I can't wait to hear the stories that come out in the next weeks and months of how people are totally transforming their business with referrals. Thank you so much. This is the best referral call I've ever been on and one of the top 5 best training calls I've ever been on. So please blow up the chat with TYC down below. Show her some love. If you know her direct, please text her. And truly, truly, thank you so much. This was incredible.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was so much fun.